Hi, good morning, everybody. It's Mr. Rader here. Today's June 9th, and this is an economics lesson on credit cards. And today we're going to look at is how to be a responsible credit card user and how to use credit cards to build your credit score and to earn rewards points for cashback, travel perks, gift cards, however you might want to cash them in. So the question we want to consider is how do our individual economic decisions influence our ability to not accrue credit card debt to be able to best manage our scarce resources? So for this opening question, I just want you to think for a moment. The statement is a true or false, and it says the average American household has over $6,000 in credit card debt. So the question is, do you think that's true or do you think that's false? So to be able to answer that, you have to infer, do you think that the majority of people are in debt? And if the answer is yes, has it really risen to a level where it would be over $6,000? And the answer, believe it or not, is yeah, it's true. And in fact, the actual answer is $6,929, according to NerdWallet's new analysis. And in terms of overall debt in the country, you'll notice that the largest debt is mortgage debt. And one of the things you'll learn in personal finance is mortgage debt is actually, there's a good form of debt. There's good debt and there's bad debt. Mortgage debt is you owning a property and you building equity in that property by paying off that mortgage 1 month at a time. We see auto loans and student loans. So when we look at the credit card debt, I'm just going to read the footnote. The credit card debt figures in this chart represents revolving credit card balances, those that are carried from month to month. We're going to talk about that in today's lesson, rather than all credit card balances. Total U.S. credit card outstanding debt stands at $944 billion, which includes both revolving and transacting balances. So in fact, it's more than 2 times the number listed here. Okay, so some things to keep in mind. So when we look at that last report, that $6,929 figure is substantially lower than the figure highlighted in previous versions of this annual study because of the sharper focus on revolving debt. So just some things to be aware of, some terms to know, what a revolving credit card debt looks like, which is your month-to-month debt, and transacting credit card balances, okay? I'm just going to read this little paragraph here. For the estimated 48% of households that do carry credit card debt, the balances can be a heavy burden. Under the method used for previous versions of the study, the average credit card debt among households with credit card debt in 2018 would have been $15,561. Okay, some things to kind of keep in mind when we think about average credit card debt in America. It does vary a lot based on income levels as well. So the mean credit card debt of U.S. households is approximately $5,700, according to most recent data from the Survey of Consumer Finances by the U.S. Federal Reserve. The information comes from data collected up through the year 2013 and represents the most reliable measure of credit card indebtedness in the United States. And just to point out here on this chart, we can see the household net worth, which is the total number of assets. So you have assets, you minus your liabilities, and whatever you're left with is your net worth, ranging from zero or negative balances to over $500,000, and the average amount of credit card debt in each of those net worth brackets. Now, we're going to look at in today's lesson what's in your Google Doc is what does credit card ownership look like in terms of paying off a balance. So I'm going to preface this with this following disclaimer. If you get a credit card, please try to use it responsibly. And what I mean by that is don't think of the credit card like a gift card. Don't think of it like, something you'll pay off in 10 years. It's not a smart way to think about it. Think about it like cash. If you want to buy a new pair of shoes and those shoes cost $75, but you only have $20 in the bank, do not buy those new pair of shoes with a credit card because then you'll go into debt. All right, that's my disclaimer. My recommendation is something I've always tried to do myself, and I've done it since I got my first credit card when I was 18. Always pay your bills off in full every month. You'll see a minimum payment that's much less. Try your best not to get hooked into that. Credit card companies make their money when individuals only pay the minimum payments because then they pay a whole lot of interest, which is what you're going to see shortly. So in this scenario here, for this person, hypothetically, they have a balance of $3,000. So that's what they owe the credit card company. They plan to pay off $200 a month, so it's a lot more than the standard $25 minimum payment. while making additional purchase of $115 each month. You'll notice that the interest rate is 18% for the year. And that's a lot when the standard bank gives less than 1% of interest to savings accounts owners. And for this credit card, there's an annual fee. Some credit cards have them. We'll learn more about this on Thursday's lesson on June 11th. Some credit cards charge annual fees. Some credit cards do not. So in this one, it does. And only you'll see how much of the total balance, the principal, was actually paid at the start of month 12 and the total interest paid at the start of month 12. So this is what the formal handout looks like if it was on paper. So you can see some of the directions here, and they show you how to calculate out the first month's payment. So you'll notice month 2, the balance is the solution to this equation. So you'll see 3,000 minus 200 equals 2,800 plus 115 plus 94. Now, notice for the interest rate is 18% for the year. Divide 18 by 12, you get 1.5% interest per month. So these are the first couple of months. Now, in your Google Doc, I created a table and I organized it for you for the first 3 months. And you'll notice the way I set it up was you would have month 2, a model. You see the balance, you subtract the payment, add purchases, add the fee, add the monthly interest payment, and you have your new balance. At month 3, right, for this new balance here, you will no longer pay the annual fee because it's only once for the year, and you just pay the new interest. So it's 3,009 minus 200 plus 115 plus 4514. Now the question is, how did I know what that interest would be? You're going to take your balance, so in this case 2,969.14, multiply it by 0.015, okay, because that's 1.5%, and that would be the interest for month 3. Now, when you finish this activity, you'll actually notice that the overall balance, you pay off very, very little of it, and you actually pay up a lot of interest. It's over $500 of interest. Okay, a couple other points I just want to show you before I conclude this mini lecture. One of the things that you need to do once you get a credit card is to get your annual credit report. This is the place you can go once a year. Although I do know during the outbreak of coronavirus in 2020, and this may not last in future years, the three credit agencies, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, are allowing weekly credit report checks so that you can actually see what your credit report looks like to see if there are any inconsistencies or any problems with your credit. And you can see it points out right here. Credit reports may affect your mortgage rates, credit card approvals, apartment requests. If you want to get a lease on an apartment someday, they'll run your credits. One of the things you have to pay for in an application, even a job application. Reviewing credit reports helps you catch signs of identity theft early. Very important to do that. And then really looking at the last thing in the summary. So question in bold, are credit cards designed to put people into debt? Well, the answer is maybe. It depends. So from the perspective of the corporation issuing the credit card, whether it be a store credit card or whether it be a larger corporation, the answer is sure, why not? If you go into debt and you pay the minimum payments, the credit card companies make a lot of money from you from their interest payments. If you can be responsible and if you can pay your bills off in full, then not necessarily. But the psychology, there's a behavioral psychology here that a lot of people do get tricked into believing that like credit cards are maybe like a gift card, or that they can delay paying off the bill, and therefore they do end up going into debt. So for the second bullet point, what can you do as a wise consumer to avoid this debt in the first place? Well, the answer to that is to pay the bill in full, right? Don't live beyond your means. It's really important because many people will live beyond their means. They'll book a vacation somewhere they can't afford, and they end up just putting it away on layaway, and that's a problem. Or if you do end up in debt, how do you pay it off quickly if you make mistakes? Well, that's a little trickier. There's different ways to do that. So if you're making some extra income, you have a second job, you could pay more than the minimum balance to begin paying off the debt on a credit card. All right, so that's going to do it for this mini lecture. Stay tuned for the next installment where we look at the best credit cards on the market right now for college students and for individual adults looking to get rewards-based credit cards. All right, everybody, take care.